Are you recording? Okay. Hi, welcome to our Plainview home. I'm Mandy. I'm so glad you're here. So when I first started homeschooling, I fell into the trap that I should school at home and you should not do that. I have struggled with not feeling smart enough to homeschool our children. Whatever stage of homeschool you're in at the moment, you're gonna wanna watch this video. I've got some tips and tricks that I'm gonna share with you and give you my biggest homeschooling hack. And we're also gonna talk a little bit about slow living. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's get into it. All right, so as a reference, before we really get into the meat of things, we have 4 kids, ages 13 down to 4. So our oldest one is 8th grade, okay? So obviously that's how long I've been homeschooling is, I guess, 8 years. I guess if you're going by school grade, our kids would be 8th grade, then 5th grade, then 1st grade, and preschool. So that's what we're working with. My first tip, which I think this video is more like advice than tips, so I apologize if I misled you, but you're still gonna get my homeschool hack in a little bit. The first tip is not to put them necessarily in grade levels. And I say that from experience because I started out thinking that they had to be in a certain grade because of their age. And that really is a mistake because each child, as you are aware, as everybody is aware, is different and they develop differently. Their brains develop differently. So I would say try your hardest if you can to not box your children into that. If they're this age, they have to be in that grade. And I think a lot of people do that, or the reason that I started doing that was because we had family that does public school. And so they would always ask, well, what grade is this child in? What grade are they in now? And even at church and things, they would get asked that. So I felt like I had to keep them up to that grade level so they could communicate that. But it really doesn't matter what grade that they're in. By doing that, I didn't realize, but I was opening the door for, oh, you're behind, or oh, this child is behind. So I feel like whenever you do that, you just open up the door for comparing your children to other children, and you really shouldn't do that. You should allow them to develop and grow as they do naturally. But I will say with that, and this may seem contradictory, so I apologize, but I do buy curriculum based on their grade level. But again, just because they may be in 5th grade in a public school, I could do 6th grade math if they're advanced in that, or I could do, 4th grade math or reading, or, go above or below depending on their need, because the whole point is that they actually get the material and they get what they're learning and not just move up just to be done with it. I mean, that's the beauty of homeschooling, is that you actually get to watch them learn and make sure that they're getting a really good education foundation. So with the curriculum, and in this video, I'm not gonna go like deep dive into the curriculum and our homeschool, what we do and use and the rules and regulations of our state. I'm not gonna dive into that. If you're interested, if these homeschool videos are popular and get a lot of likes, I might go more, deeper into homeschooling. I haven't really decided how much I want this channel to be about homeschooling. I haven't really decided that. I'm just gonna kind of see how things go, I guess. So I guess my whole point to that was not to paint your children into a box and let them kind of learn as they naturally do. So when I first started homeschooling, I fell into the trap that I should school at home and you should not do that. You should homeschool, and there's a huge difference. But I thought I needed to find the most rigorous homeschool curriculum, and that's what we needed to start out with. And it needed to be at a little desk, in our homeschool room, and our oldest is just gonna homeschool all day and love it, and it should be amazing. It wasn't, and she didn't love it, and it wasn't amazing. It was tears and crying all the time. So since then, I have gone from that strict kind of thinking to more of the Charlotte Mason, or is it Manson? I think it's Mason, Charlotte Mason kind of idea, that gentle homeschool, and that's what we do. And I have made like the really big swing. Sometimes I think I've gone too far, but that's okay. It's working for us. So I do more of the gentle. When I look at my curriculum, I'd rather it be easier than harder, because then they can, at their own level and skill set decide if they need to do more or if they need to do less, and that's okay. So which brings me to my next point, or my next tip, is probably if you're doing a lot of researching and looking at homeschool videos and trying to figure out how you should do things and how others are doing things, I would suggest that you might want to bring your expectations down just a little bit, especially if you're first starting out. Really enjoy your kiddo or kiddos, or however it may be, and enjoy the process. Maybe just kind of see what they're interested in first before you really dive into something. I know for myself, my expectations get way up there, and I think that if it doesn't go like my picture perfect, what I imagine in my head, then it's just, I can't do it, it's just ruined, and it's just never gonna work out. So I constantly have to bring myself back down to earth, and maybe even a little farther on some days. But when you're looking and researching and looking at Pinterest for ideas, and you're looking at YouTube videos for ideas, remember that what you see may not work for you. You may not have a place in your house to just have a designated space for homeschool. You may not have that, or you may have that, like we have had whenever we have moved, which we've only moved a few times, but every time we looked at a different house, I always told Andrew that I have to have a homeschool room. I have to have the table, I have to have everything for all the stuff. So we have one because I had to have one, but we don't use it because it's downstairs and it's inconvenient and it's beautiful, but we don't use it. We homeschool at the kitchen table or in the living room or at our island, and that works really well for us. I think we would do that no matter how our curriculum looked. We do a lot online just because I work. I think if we did the open and closed book style, which is basically just a book curriculum and then your kids just work through it like a workbook, I really like that. Even if we did that, they would still be homeschooling at the table or the island or in the living room. So it's just more comfortable for my kids, and they like to be around where I'm at all the time. The other tip I have is try not to be so hard on yourself. We get in our heads, I think, most of the time, and think that, we're not smart enough or creative enough or fun enough to homeschool our children. I don't have a big child education degree. I have a 2-year business management degree that I've never used. The job I have now, I got because of who I know. And I have struggled with not feeling smart enough to homeschool our children. So I rely heavily, knowing that, I rely heavily on the answer keys in the back. And now that we do a lot of videos, and that's really, really nice. So there are ways around it. I guarantee you're a lot smarter than that you think that you are. Try to find the confidence and try not to get wrapped up in the Pinterest photos and the videos of, homeschool mamas making it so amazing and fun for their kids. And a lot of times you don't know what's really behind the scenes. I know for myself, I want my kids to enjoy every experience, and I'm not super creative, but there are times that we have fun, and we usually have fun when I'm not trying, when we're out on a walk, or when I think of a craft, I feel like it's not that big of a deal, whether it's just gluing or, I can't even think of anything to say about that, but because I'm just not creative. But when I come up with an idea from Pinterest or something and do it, they love it. And it's not very often because I'm just not super good at that. Our oldest takes over kind of the arts and crafts stuff, which brings me to another point: to let your bigger kids help your little kids. They love it, and your little kids will learn so much quicker that way. Our oldest reads to our littlest one, and she loves reading because our oldest reads to her, and it helps our oldest with her reading skills as well. So it's a win-win, and I love having that kind of old style school house type of feel that you get with homeschooling. So now, after all that rambling, I'll go into my biggest homeschooling hack. Probably not going to be surprised, but here we go. It's books. Told you weren't going to be super surprised. But my biggest homeschooling hack is to have lots of books and different type of books. And even if you don't homeschool, but you have children of any age, you should have lots of books. So it just encourages a love of reading, which then instills a love of learning. So I love books. I always try to find reasons and ways to get more books, and I'll kind of go into some ideas that I have for you as well on that. But books, have books sitting around your house. I decorate with books. I have books all over our living room, downstairs. We have a bookcase up here, a built-in bookshelf that I store all of our children's books on, just to encourage them to go pick up a book. And I actually even have a magazine. I only do I didn't even sign up for it. I don't know. The conservation just sends us magazines every few months. But I had one that I just got last week, and I put it on the counter. And it was so neat because throughout the day, I noticed our little 4-year-old was looking through that magazine. I'm sure she was looking at the animals, but you know, she can't read, but she loves looking at books and magazines. And that's one thing I have always done with all of our children, is that at bedtime can be really difficult around here. And I have always told them to encourage them to stay in bed, that they can get a book and they can look at. So the little ones who can't read, they will still stay in bed because they get to stay up later. They will stay in bed and they will just look at books and look at pictures, and to them that's reading. And I think it's worked out really well for us. I just went around the house and picked out different books, different styles of books that we have, so that I can kind of show you how we incorporate them into our homeschool. So we do a lot of reading at night. The kids will read in bed. So I don't, what do I do with that? Set it over there. The kids will do a lot of reading in bed, and actually the book series that they are so excited about, which I showed in the last video on the homeschooling haul, I didn't grab those. They were in their bedrooms, but the Good Dog books, so I'll read those at night. And then we have these for just fun reading. And I mentioned that I decorate with books. So right now it's fall, it's Halloween. I was just at Walmart earlier and I found this book for $4, which I thought was a really good deal. So I picked this one up, and it'll be in our living room. Who's Not Afraid of the Dark, in case you're wondering what the title was. It'll just be in our living room, and they'll look at it, we'll read it. But it's a really cute book, and I thought for $4 I couldn't pass it up. So all the books that we have, we use obviously in different ways, just for fun reading and then for learning. So some of our more learning-based books I'll pull out during, homeschool, and even when we're not homeschooling, we'll, go through our books. These books are really fun. A lot of our learning books that I have are going to be from Paper Pie, which used to be Usborne, and I don't sell them, and this video is not sponsored. I just find that they are really good with their informational books to make learning really fun. So another really great thing about, well, wait till I get there. Another great thing about books is you can try to find certain books to help you out with whatever you're needing. So I know that might sound confusing, but what I mean is these books here that have their books, but then they have the toys and the little mat with it that you can play. So they're basically books with toys, so that for the younger students, or maybe the ones not in school yet, that keeps them occupied while we're doing school, is to play with these books. And then that way they're not constantly on a device, which I do use devices at times, a lot of times, honestly, as a way to help us get us through the school. It doesn't always have to be bad. I mean, the little ones, they can be playing computer games like PBS Kids, and just because it's a device doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. So I just want you to remember that. But anyway, when you don't want your kids to be on devices, you can do books like these, and they love them. And these books come with some of these characters, like Bandit. And this is a fun book for the season for Halloween. It's a magnet book, which also works great for church because it's quiet and you can take these books. And the kids like to play with those. And they can do whatever they want with the little characters and the scenes. So these are really fun books. So I always try to look for these. And these I just got at Walmart. When it comes to more of the learning books, I do tend to lean toward the Paper Pie or Usborne, what it used to be, books, because they're just really informational and they're fun. So this one I picked up a couple years ago for learning science, learning the body, and it has a lot of information. And then the flaps, and it's just, I love it so much. It's so neat. And here's another one that the kids really like. It's a Shine the Light book. These are fun. This is also, you know, an Usborne book. Again, I don't sell them and I'm not sponsored. They're just really neat. You shine a light behind it and it shows a picture through. It's really, really fun. So, which brings me to another little point. These books, they can be expensive to buy books. I get that. I usually buy like the expensive books, which I would consider these Usborne books, in my opinion, for what I can afford, to be more on the expensive side. So I usually buy them around Christmas and add them with our presents. But this one I actually found at a used bookstore. Thrift stores are a great place, and I usually find these type of books at a thrift store. So I always look when I'm at a thrift store for books. We have a really great used bookstore in our area, which is where I found, well, where'd it go? I found these there. These are the Ree Drummond books, the little children's books that she has. They're really cute. I found them in our used bookstore. I love getting old books for the kids to read. I think it's a great resource. Of course, you can always do the library. So if you have a library card, you can check out, and that's a great resource, is check out books at the library. So you could always do that as well, and we have done that too. One of the biggest benefits for books for me is that it makes us slow down. I've been looking for ways to kind of slow down, things to do to get myself to stop and slow down. And especially over the past year, I've realized that things are just too much. Remember to just start small. I kind of threw in slow living here at the very end of the video because it's something that I've really been trying to research and trying to put into my own life. I feel like I already am reaping the benefits of just simply slowing down. Just for myself, I feel more calm. I feel more calm and more peaceful than I have in a really long time. So I'm going to continue down this journey for slow living, and I hope you join me and we can discover some things together. Thanks so much for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next video. You are such a stinker.